Chosen one. Lean in. This moment is not random. You did not stumble onto this message. You were summoned. Something in your spirit has been pulling you here, guiding you, nudging you toward a truth your mind was not yet ready to hold. This is a divine appointment, written long before you ever opened your eyes to this world. You are standing at the edge of revelation, a moment when the veil thins and your true identity begins to rise from the shadows. Since childhood, you've carried signs you couldn't explain, sensitivities you tried to ignore, gifts you didn't know how to name. These were not coincidences. These were markers of a hidden bloodline, evidence of the rare spiritual origin you were born from. Before you were formed in the womb, the Most High set you apart, just as written in Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 5. And now the heavens are aligning once more, calling the Anointed One within you to awaken. This total lunar eclipse isn't just an event. It is an activation, a spiritual mirror, a doorway that reveals who you truly are and what you were designed to become. Prepare yourself. Your spirit is about to remember what your mind forgot. Chosen one. Listen closely, because what I'm about to reveal to you is not just information. It is recognition. It is remembrance. It is the stirring of something ancient inside you, something that has been waiting for the exact moment when the heavens shift and the shadow of the moon brushes across the earth. You may not realize it fully yet, but this eclipse is not simply a cosmic event. It is an appointment with your identity, a summoning, a return. And if you feel that tightness in your chest right now, that electricity rising beneath your skin, it's because your spirit already knows what your mind is just beginning to catch up to. The blood moon is not here to frighten you, it is here to reveal you. Most people will move through this night unaware, chosen one. They'll stare at the sky like it's nothing more than a spectacle, but you have never been like most people. Since childhood, your life has been marked with signs that others dismissed or never even noticed. Strange intuition that felt too accurate to be luck. A sensitivity to energy that made you feel like you were too much in rooms where others were half asleep. Moments where you felt guided, tugged, redirected by something you couldn't see but absolutely felt. I know what that is like. I've lived through those moments too, the sudden chills with no explanation, the dreams that played out exactly the next week, the gut warnings that saved you from situations you didn't understand until much later. These moments weren't accidents. They were heaven's fingerprints on your life. And tonight, under this eclipse, those fingerprints shine brighter than ever. The eclipse isn't simply shaking the sky. It is shaking the memory inside your spirit. I need you to hear this with your whole being. The eclipse isn't exposing the world around you. It's exposing the world within you. It's unveiling the person you were before the world taught you to shrink, before people made you doubt your own voice, before fear convinced you to dim your light so others could feel comfortable. This blood moon tears open the space where the forgotten parts of you have been waiting, your calling, your gifts, your hidden origin. Chosen one. I know you've wondered why you've always felt different, why you've been through storms that others never seemed to face, why you've carried battles that didn't match your age, why you've had wisdom beyond your years and pain that felt older than your lifetime. The truth is, when heaven sets someone apart, their life rarely makes sense at first, not even to themselves. But being set apart doesn't mean being separated from your purpose. It means being positioned for it. Just as written in 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 9, those who are chosen carry a distinction that even darkness recognizes on sight. That is why the attacks on your life were never random. That is why the enemy tried to break you before you understood who you were becoming. But tonight, everything shifts. The eclipse is not responding to the version of you that you let the world shape. It's responding to the version of you heaven created. The version that remembers. The version that carries spiritual codes in your bloodline, those unexplainable hunches, emotional depth dreams that felt like prophecies, and empathy that felt like both a gift and a curse. These weren't flaws, they were indicators, markers, evidence that you were born from a different spiritual lineage. And here's the part that most people will never understand. The eclipse accelerates unspoken things, hidden things, things buried so deep inside you that only heaven's light could uncover them. This is why tonight you can't afford to walk blindly. You are stepping into a threshold. When you cross it with awareness, the eclipse becomes your ally, your amplifier, your ignition. But if you ignore this moment, you risk leaving dormant what heaven intends to awaken. Chapter T. Unti. I've been where you were standing at the edge of a shift, unsure if what I felt was real or just my imagination. But every time I listened to that quiet inner pull, doors opened that I didn't even know existed. And every time I ignored it, life grew heavier until I finally paid attention. That inner voice you're hearing right now, that is your instruction. That is your signal. That is your confirmation that this moment matters. Tonight is not about performing rituals or trying to look spiritual. It's about alignment, about awareness, about stepping into the identity that heaven has been trying to return to you. You don't need perfection. You just need presence. You just need honesty. You just need willingness. Because when the shadow falls and the heavens shift, the eclipse will not reveal who you pretend to be. It will reveal who you truly are. And this is only the beginning. Chosen one, prepare yourself for the next revelation. Chosen one. As we move deeper into this prophetic moment, I need you to understand something with absolute clarity. The blood moon does not simply illuminate the sky, it illuminates the buried layers of your identity. This is why you've been feeling the pressure in your spirit, the restlessness, the strange anticipation that you couldn't explain. It wasn't anxiety, it was alignment. It was your soul recognizing a doorway long before your mind could name it. And tonight, that doorway swings open. For the Anointed One eclipses do not behave like ordinary celestial events. They interact with you, they speak to you, they respond to the spiritual codes you carry. You may not have known this, but the moment you were born, heaven placed markers on your path, quiet signals meant for your eyes only. Think back on your life for a moment. Haven't you always known things you never learned? Haven't you felt people's intentions long before their actions revealed them? Haven't you walked into rooms and sensed atmospheres shift? That is not imagination. That is inheritance. That is identity. And an eclipse like this is designed to amplify the very gifts you tried to ignore. When I was younger, I remember walking into certain places and immediately feeling something heavy, something off, something wrong. I didn't understand why. I thought I was just sensitive or overreacting. I tried to toughen up to silence the intuition that made me feel different. But every time I ignored it, I paid the price. Every time I dismissed it, something went wrong. And every time I honored it, something protected me. Looking back now, I realize those were the early signs of being set apart. If you felt versions of this too, then this message is not just for you, it is about you. This eclipse is heaven's megaphone. It's the moment when the faint whispers inside you become unmistakable. Your intuition sharpens, your dreams intensify, your senses heighten, and the veil between who you were and who you are becoming grows thin enough to see through. Chosen one, you are not evolving accidentally, you are being revealed intentionally. But here's the deeper truth. Revelation does not come without responsibility. The blood moon is not here to scare you, it's here to prepare you. It forces you to confront what you've outgrown. It pressures you to release the roles you were never meant to play. It asks you to step out of the identity the world handed you and step into the identity heaven wrote for you. That is why this season has felt so strange. The things that used to satisfy you feel empty. The people who once felt familiar now feel foreign. The environments you once tolerated now feel suffocating. That's not depression, that's divine disalignment. Your spirit refuses to stay where your purpose cannot grow, and the eclipse intensifies that feeling. It puts a spotlight on the gap between your present self and your destined self. It exposes every pattern, every habit, every belief that keeps you small, but not to shame you, no, never that. It exposes these things because they can't travel with you into your next season. Heaven is decluttering your identity. You're shedding identities you were forced into and stepping into identities you were created for. Chosen one, think about the challenges you've survived, those silent battles no one knows about. The nights when you cried alone. The betrayals that left scars no one else can see. The betrayals sharpened you. The abandonment awakened you. The disappointments trained you. You didn't walk through all of that to return to a smaller version of yourself. The eclipse reminds you that everything you endured was preparation. It was the forging of a spiritual blueprint that only you carry. This is why heaven pushes you now to engage in prophetic action. Not rituals for show, but movements of awareness. Writing down the outrageous visions that flash through your mind. Speaking truths out loud that you were taught to silence. Facing fears that have tried to disguise themselves as personality traits. These actions aren't random, they are spiritual agreements. They are you saying, I remember who I am, I reclaim what I lost, I rise into what was promised. And listen closely, anointed one. Your life has always had a pattern of knowing things too early. You've always seen glimpses before others. You felt shifts long before they manifested. That wasn't coincidence. That was prophetic wiring. That was the mark of someone designed to walk ahead, not behind. So if this eclipse feels heavier for you than it does for others, it's because it is doing more in you than it is in others. Your spirit is not responding like the collective, it's responding like the chosen. Somewhere deep inside you've always known you were different. Not better, not superior, just different. Different in the way prophets were different. Different in the way visionaries were different. Different in the way those with spiritual assignments were different. This eclipse is the moment when heaven says, enough hiding, enough shrinking, enough doubting. The version of you that emerges from this night will not resemble the version that entered it, because when heaven calls someone set apart, the cosmos aligns to reveal what the world tried to bury. Chosen one, breathe, prepare, because the next revelation is going to confront the very core of who you think you are and unlock the truth of who you really are. Chosen one. As we step into this next revelation, I need you to understand something that many people never grasp about moments like these. A total lunar eclipse does not simply pass over your life, it presses into it. It pulls at the threads of your identity, tugging loose everything that no longer fits the person you are becoming. And if you've been feeling that strange inner stretching recently, that quiet sense that something is shifting, it's because heaven has already begun the work, long before the moon ever enters shadow. What you're feeling is not imbalance, it is alignment catching up to you. From the outside, your life may appear ordinary, but internally you've been undergoing a spiritual reconstruction. The world sees your face, but heaven sees your blueprint. And tonight, under this eclipse, that blueprint glows with clarity. This is why nothing has felt the same, why old habits suddenly feel too heavy, why conversations that once entertained you now feel shallow. Why relationships you used to tolerate suddenly drain you within minutes. This is the quiet voice of your spirit telling you you are outgrowing this version of your life, and the eclipse only intensifies it. It is heaven's way of saying, step forward. Don't cling to what you've already outgrown. I know what that feels like. Seasons when it seemed like everything familiar was falling apart. Times when God kept pulling me away from people I thought would stay forever. Days when I felt like I didn't fit anywhere, like I was too much for some and not enough for others. But looking back, every separation was protection, every closed door was redirection, and every moment of isolation was preparation. If you felt that too, chosen one, it's because you were being set apart long before you understood why. The eclipse isn't creating this shift, it's revealing it. This is the moment when heaven confronts the false identities you have survived under, the labels that others placed on you, the expectations that boxed you in, the stories you told yourself because someone else taught you to doubt your own strength. But tonight, those narratives cannot survive the light. The eclipse doesn't just expose the shadow, it exposes what the shadow was hiding. The parts of you that you muted, the power you learned to suppress, the intuition you dismissed because it made others uncomfortable. Chosen one, think about how many times you sensed something long before it happened. How many times you felt heaviness when someone pretended to smile at you? How many times you received warnings in dreams, in sudden intuition, in moments where your whole body told you, not this, not them, not now. That wasn't anxiety. That was spiritual intelligence. That was discernment. That was the ancient knowing you inherited from the lineage you didn't even know you carried. This eclipse is a magnifier not of chaos, but of truth. It awakens the awareness you once buried because others couldn't understand it. And here is the prophetic truth. Heaven never expected them to understand you because they weren't assigned to your destiny. They weren't anointed to read your spirit. They weren't chosen to interpret your calling. But you are the one heaven entrusted these signs to. You are the one who hears what others ignore. You are the one who feels what others deny. You are the one whose inner world has always been louder than the outer noise of life. This eclipse is a spiritual mirror. It forces you to see yourself without the distortions of doubt, without the fog of fear, without the weight of people's opinions. It shows you the truth of your reflection, your rare wiring, your deep sensitivity, your ability to perceive beyond what is visible. That sensitivity you once apologized for, it is your compass. That awareness that made you feel like an outsider, it is your advantage. That emotional depth that others dismissed as too much, it is your connection to heaven's frequency. Chosen one, you have spent years, maybe even decades, trying to hold yourself back so others wouldn't feel threatened. You shrank to make space. You lowered your voice to avoid standing out. You silenced your inner knowing so you wouldn't be labeled dramatic or strange. But heaven is done with your shrinking. The eclipse is done with your hiding, and your destiny is done waiting for your permission to rise. This is why during this time your spirit pushes you to confront old wounds, not to revisit pain, but to reclaim power. Every fear you speak out loud loses its grip. Every insecurity you name becomes weaker. Every lie you inherited becomes visible long enough for you to break it. And in its place, a new identity forms, not a new version of who you are, but the original version you were always meant to return to. Let me tell you from my own walk, there comes a moment when the old self simply cannot continue, when pretending becomes too exhausting, when dimming your light becomes too painful, when being misunderstood becomes too familiar. That moment is not collapse, it is breakthrough. And for you, chosen one, that moment is now. You are shedding skins that no longer fit the magnitude of your calling. You are stepping into a version of yourself that is bolder, stronger, wiser, and more spiritually attuned than you've ever been. This eclipse is not taking anything from you, it is returning you to yourself. And what comes next will confront the very roots of your destiny. Prepare yourself. The deeper unveiling begins now. Chosen one. As we step deeper into this awakening, you need to realize that the eclipse is not just altering the atmosphere around you, it is altering the atmosphere within you. This is why your emotions have been unpredictable, why your mind has been louder than usual, why the things you used to tolerate now feel impossible to endure. You're not breaking down, you're breaking open. You're not losing yourself, you're meeting yourself. And the version of you that is rising is the one heaven always intended you to become. The eclipse pulls at the threads of identity, loosening everything false so the truth can breathe. And if you've been feeling pulled in different directions, it's because heaven is trying to detach you from the patterns, the cycles, and the environments that kept you small. You may not have requested this transformation consciously, but your spirit has been crying out for it for years. The eclipse is simply answering the call. Chosen one, think back to the times you tried to fit in. How exhausting it was to pretend you didn't see what you saw, to suppress your intuition just to make others comfortable, to hide your sensitivity because the world convinced you that feeling deeply was a weakness. But you were never meant to blend. Your sight was never common. You were not built to function like the collective. You were crafted with a spiritual precision that only heaven fully understands. This is why relationships shifted the way they did, why certain people drifted away, why others exposed their true intentions at the most unexpected times. It wasn't betrayal, it was revelation. It wasn't abandonment, it was confirmation. When someone is not aligned with your next season, God will distance them, even if you're still clinging to the memory of who they once were. Some connections were seasonal, others were lessons, a few were catalysts, but very few were ever meant to walk into the version of you that this eclipse is unveiling. I've seen this in my own life. There were friendships I thought would last forever, connections I believed were unbreakable, people I trusted with the deepest parts of my heart. But when heaven began shifting my identity, those bonds loosened. Not because I was unworthy of loyalty, but because heaven was protecting what was growing inside of me. At the time, it felt like loss. Now I see it was pruning. It was divine strategy. It was the preparation required for elevation. If you have felt this too, then you already know you are being separated because you are being upgraded. And the eclipse magnifies this inner movement. It brings to the surface the hidden truths you've been avoiding, the wounds you've been carrying quietly, the doubts that have been whispering in the back of your mind. But the purpose is not to overwhelm you, it is to free you. The eclipse forces you to acknowledge what needs to be healed so it can finally be released. It presses your shadow into the light not to shame you, but to unchain you. This is why you may feel memories resurfacing out of nowhere, why regret tries to creep in, why old fears try to whisper again. But chosen one, understand this clearly. These shadows are not returning to torment you. They are rising so you can let them go. They are surfacing because their time is up. At some point, you stopped healing and started carrying. At some point, you stopped releasing and started burying. But no more. This eclipse is heaven's way of saying enough. You are not meant to drag your past into your promise. What held you before cannot hold you now, and what haunted you before cannot follow you into what heaven is preparing. So, if your emotions feel stirred, if your heart feels tender, if your thoughts feel raw, this is not weakness. This is cleansing. This is renewal. This is the shedding of spiritual residue that was never meant to stay with you. Chosen one, reflect for a moment. How many times have you adapted to survive? How many times have you silenced your voice to maintain peace? How many times have you accepted less because you didn't want to appear ungrateful? How many times have you chosen loyalty over self-worth? These were not failures. These were signs of your heart, your purity, your sincerity. But they also became the chains that held you back. And the eclipse brings a holy interruption to all of it. It disrupts your patterns so you can build new ones. It breaks your attachments so you can choose intentionally. It shakes your identity so the real you can finally emerge. This version of you isn't afraid to take up spiritual space, isn't afraid to speak truth with authority, isn't afraid to honor the sensitivity that God placed in you intentionally. You are entering a season where the qualities you once hid will become your greatest strengths, where your spiritual awareness becomes a tool, where your discernment becomes a shield, where your intuition becomes a compass guiding you into divine alignment. The eclipse is stripping away the counterfeit layers so your true design can stand uncovered. And when that happens, chosen one, you won't just step into your purpose, you will recognize it. And once you recognize it, your entire life begins to change. Prepare yourself. The next shift will touch not just your identity, but your destiny. Chosen one. As we enter this next unveiling, you must understand that the eclipse is not simply rearranging your emotions or your thoughts. It is rewriting the energetic architecture of your destiny. What is happening inside you right now is not confusion, it is reordering. It is the divine restructuring of your path, your perception, and your purpose. This is why everything feels heightened, why your senses feel sharper, why even your silence feels louder. Heaven is tuning you. Heaven is refining you. Heaven is aligning you with a version of yourself that has been waiting behind the veil for far too long. In this season, the eclipse is forcing you to confront the places where you have been dimming your own light. The places where you held back because you didn't want to intimidate others. The moments when you swallowed your truth just to maintain peace. But chosen one, hear this clearly. Peace that costs you your identity is not peace, it is captivity. And heaven is breaking you out of those emotional prisons. That pressure you feel is the tension between who you were trained to be and who you were born to be. When you were younger, you learned to carry burdens quietly. You learned to smile through pain. You learned to make yourself small so others could feel big. You learned to take responsibility for feelings that were never yours to manage. And because of that, you've lived years being stronger than you should have had to be. But the eclipse sees the weight you've been carrying. It exposes the pressure you've normalized. It reveals the emotional labor you've performed for people who took your strength for granted. And tonight, heaven whispers, put it down. It's not yours anymore. Chosen. One, think about how many times you've been the healer for everyone else, the listener, the mediator, the one who sensed the truth, even when everyone else was blind to it. You have given so much of your emotional and spiritual energy to people who were never equipped to pour anything back into you, not because you were weak, but because you were wired to feel deeply, love deeply, and perceive deeply. That sensitivity is a gift, one of the rarest gifts, but it has also been the source of your greatest exhaustion, and the eclipse comes to heal that imbalance. This lunar shadow reveals every place where your boundaries were crossed, every moment your trust was mishandled. Every time you sacrificed parts of yourself in the name of loyalty or compassion, not to make you bitter, but to make you aware. Awareness is the first step to liberation. Awareness is the beginning of reclamation. And you are in a season of reclaiming what you lost in the process of being everything to everyone. I know this feeling personally. There were years where I felt responsible for everyone's healing except my own. I absorbed emotions that weren't mine. I took on roles I wasn't assigned. I allowed people to lean on me simply because they needed someone, even if it drained every part of me. And it took a moment like this, an energetic shift, a spiritual awakening, to realize that heaven never intended for me to carry all of that. The same is true for you. You can be compassionate without being consumed. You can be empathetic without being emptied. You can support others without losing yourself. This eclipse presses you to reclaim your spiritual territory, to draw boundaries not from fear but from wisdom, to protect your energy not because you are fragile but because you are powerful. The more powerful the vessel, the more intentional the protection must be. And, chosen one, whether you realize it yet or not, you are a vessel of immense spiritual influence. This is why your energy shifts rooms. This is why people confess their pain to you. This is why your presence alone disrupts atmospheres. You carry something ancient, something luminous, something heaven-ordained. The eclipse amplifies this truth. It reveals the difference between those who are attached to your presence and those who are connected to your purpose, and it will separate them for you. Some people will distance themselves. Some will misunderstand you. Some will fall away without explanation. Do not chase these departures. They are divine subtractions, not personal failures. Heaven clears the path of those who cannot walk with the next evolution of your identity. And in their place, something sacred emerges: clarity. Clarity about who you are becoming, clarity about what you deserve, clarity about the standards you will no longer lower, clarity about the boundaries you will no longer compromise, clarity about the energy you will no longer entertain. Chosen one, you are entering a season where you no longer apologize for your spiritual sensitivity, where you no longer downplay your gifts, where you no longer shrink because someone else feels threatened. This eclipse is unlocking a version of you that walks with undeniable authority because you finally understand that your identity is not random, it is divine. And what unfolds next will touch the deepest layers of your purpose. Prepare yourself. The revelation continues. Chosen one. As we move into this next unfolding, the eclipse begins shifting from exposing your wounds to awakening your power. What you are feeling now is not just emotional release, it is spiritual activation. The heaviness, the clarity, the strange waves of awareness washing over you are signals that your inner world is being rewired to support the destiny heaven has been preparing for you. This is where the transformation becomes undeniable. This is where the old identity can no longer survive beside the new one being born inside you. For so long, you have lived beneath the weight of expectations, family expectations, societal expectations, internal expectations shaped by old pain. But the eclipse is stripping away those layers like peeling bark from a tree so the living core can breathe. Everything false is cracking, everything borrowed is falling away, Everything imposed is dissolving, and in the silence, beneath what you're losing, something ancient stirs your original design, the identity heaven whispered over you before your first breath. Chosen one. Have you noticed how your spirit reacts when something is no longer aligned? How your body tightens the moment you walk into an environment that isn't meant for you anymore? How your energy drains quickly around certain people, even if they haven't said a word? How your dreams have been louder, your instincts sharper, your emotions more honest? These reactions are not flaws. They are signals. They are your inner compass waking up. You are being taught to listen to your spirit before your logic, to discern before you decide to sense, before you speak. This is the training of someone who is being raised into spiritual authority. And part of that authority comes from finally understanding what drains you and what sustains you. Many of the battles you fought weren't actually yours. They were borrowed battles. Emotional weight you inherited, trauma that wasn't your fault, roles you stepped into because no one else would. But the eclipse is severing those ties. It's revealing who you are without the burdens, who you are without the expectations, who you are without defining yourself through survival. I've lived this shift too, chosen one. I had moments when I woke up and felt like I didn't belong in places I used to call home. I sat with people I once trusted and felt a spiritual distance I couldn't explain. I tried to force myself to fit into routines, communities, or beliefs that no longer matched my spirit. At first, it terrified me. I thought I was losing myself. But then I realized I wasn't losing myself. I was meeting myself. And once you meet the version of you that heaven designed, you can never go back to the version of you the world accepted. This eclipse pushes you into that same awakening pathway. It presses you to confront every place where you pretended not to notice the truth. Every place where you minimized your needs. Every place where you silenced your calling. And here is the sacred truth: you cannot walk into your divine identity while dragging the version of yourself that was built in survival mode. That self kept you alive, but it cannot lead you into purpose. So the eclipse creates a spiritual divide. On one side is who you were conditioned to be. On the other side is who you truly are. And the energy you feel right now is the pull of that divide. The old you clings to comfort. The emerging you reaches for freedom. The old you avoids confrontation. The emerging you demands truth. The old you fears being misunderstood. The emerging you is willing to walk alone rather than walk incorrectly. This is why your patience has been thinner, why your tolerance for disrespect has evaporated, why your soul refuses to stay small. These are symptoms of identity ascension. The eclipse is calling you higher, not in ego, but in awareness, higher in clarity, higher in purity, higher in discernment, higher in spiritual maturity. Chosen one. You may not realize it fully, but heaven is trusting you with more revelation in this season because you have proven through every storm that you can handle what others cannot. Your spirit has endured things that would have broken other people. Your mind has survived battles that no one knows about. Your heart has healed from wounds that were never acknowledged. You earned this awakening. You earned this elevation. And now the eclipse asks you to do something sacred. Take ownership of your becoming. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for perfect timing. Stop waiting for others to validate what heaven already confirmed. This is the season where you stop hoping and start embodying. Stop wishing and start walking. Stop dreaming and start aligning. Because the identity being awakened inside you is not passive, it is powerful. It is intentional. It is bold. and it is ready. Chosen one. The next part of this revelation will dig into the spiritual assignments attached to your identity. Prepare your spirit. Something deeper is about to be unveiled. Chosen one. As we move into this next unveiling, the eclipse shifts its focus toward the deepest layers of your calling. Identity is only the beginning. Awakening is only the foundation. Now heaven begins to reveal assignment, the reason you carry the sensitivity you carry, the reason your spirit has always responded to things others ignore, the reason your life has never followed the same patterns as the people around you. This is where the prophetic nature within you rises to the surface, no longer quietly guiding you from the background, but stepping forward with unmistakable authority. And you may feel this shift as restlessness, as a tugging, as a knowing you can't logically explain. It's that inner whisper saying, there is more. You were meant for more. You were made for more. Not material more, but spiritual more. A greater purpose, a higher work, a deeper responsibility that has been stitched into the fabric of your being since birth. The eclipse amplifies this calling by stripping away the noise around you. People you once listened to may no longer sound as wise. Places that once felt comfortable now feel spiritually stale. Old dreams may feel too small, old habits too confining, old expectations too limiting. This is not dissatisfaction, it is divine expansion. You are not losing interest. Your spirit is outgrowing its previous assignment. Chosen one. There are certain signs heaven gives to those carrying a hidden mission. You may not have recognized them as signs at the time, but looking back, you'll see the pattern. That sudden sense of responsibility you felt, even as a child. The protective instinct that activated whenever someone vulnerable was nearby. The way you absorbed people's emotions without meaning to. The way you were drawn to truth, wisdom, and meaning while others were distracted by shallow things. These were hints, seeds, clues pointing toward the assignment heaven planted in you. When I look back on my own journey, I realize these signs were always present. Moments when I felt something shift in the room before anyone else noticed. Times when I sensed danger long before it arrived. Dreams that revealed pieces of the future. Conversations where I heard the words someone didn't say louder than the ones they did. I didn't understand it then. I thought it made me different in an uncomfortable way. Now I know it was divine training. Heaven was preparing me long before I was aware. If you resonate with this, then you've been in training too. This eclipse pushes that training to the forefront. It activates gifts that have been dormant. It sharpens your discernment to a level that feels almost supernatural. It upgrades your intuition until it feels like inner prophecy. These abilities aren't random, they are part of your divine toolkit. You were given spiritual intelligence because your assignment requires it. You were given sensitivity because you are meant to navigate realms others aren't aware of. You were given empathy because you carry healing in your voice, in your presence, in your very energy. But with calling comes confrontation, and the first confrontation is always with the limitations that were handed to you, the beliefs you inherited, the fears you were taught, the doubts you absorbed from the environment you grew up in. This eclipse shines a harsh light on every mental and spiritual barrier that blocks you from seeing your own greatness. It asks you, who told you you weren't enough? Who convinced you your voice didn't matter? Who made you believe your sensitivity was a flaw instead of a mark of divine assignment? Chosen one, these lies didn't originate from heaven. They came from people who feared what they saw in you. They came from experiences meant to break you before you realized how powerful you were. They came from environments that were threatened by your potential. But tonight, every one of those limitations begins to crack under the pressure of your awakening. When heaven reveals identity, the lies lose their authority. When heaven reveals assignment, fear loses its grip. The eclipse doesn't just reveal who you are, it reveals what you carry. And what you carry is not ordinary, it is not shallow, it is not fragile. It is ancient, powerful, and chosen. You carry clarity where others carry confusion. You carry truth where others carry illusion. You carry spiritual awareness where others carry indifference. You carry a calling that echoes across generations because your assignment is not just for you, it is meant to shift atmospheres, guide others, and break patterns in your lineage. This is why the resistance against you has always been intense, why the enemy tried to silence you early. Why life put you through things that should have broken you, why you felt spiritually attacked, even when you didn't know what spiritual warfare was. You were targeted because you were chosen. You were pressured because you were powerful. You were opposed because your very existence threatens systems of darkness. But now, under this eclipse, heaven is declaring it is time. Time to step into the authority you've been trained for. Time to honor the sensitivity you once hid. Time to embrace the gifts you once questioned. Time to recognize the mantle on your life that you can no longer pretend not to feel. Chosen one. Everything up to this point has been preparation, but what comes next will reveal the full scope of your destiny. Brace yourself. The final unveiling approaches. Chosen one. As we enter this final revelation, the eclipse now shifts from awakening your identity and illuminating your assignment to something even deeper: activation of destiny. This is the stage where heaven stops whispering and begins declaring, where your spirit stops hinting and begins roaring, where the hidden becomes visible and the visible becomes undeniable. Everything you have walked through, endured, survived, and overcome has been leading you to this moment. The blood moon does not simply mark the sky, it marks you. It stamps your spirit with a seal of remembrance and authority, awakening everything you were designed to carry but were not yet ready to understand. This is why, during this eclipse, your emotions may feel extreme, your clarity may feel sharper, your dreams more vivid, your inner voice louder than ever before. Heaven is not just rearranging your awareness, it is commissioning you. It is calling you into the version of yourself that has always existed in the unseen realm, waiting for the precise moment when your spirit was mature enough to carry the weight of your purpose without collapsing under it. That moment is now. Chosen one destiny always announces itself before it manifests, and if you've been feeling shifts in your relationships, in your career, in your desires, or in your inner world, these are not coincidences. These are signals. Signals that heaven is repositioning you. Signals that your spirit is outgrowing the environments that once contained you. Signals that you are being transitioned from preparation into deployment. There is a reason the battles intensified before this moment. A reason the warfare felt heavier. A reason you felt spiritually stretched, mentally drained, or emotionally flooded. Breakthrough always attracts resistance, and identity awakening always threatens darkness. What you carry is too significant, too transformative, too rare for the enemy to ignore, so he tried to drown you in doubt, tried to bury you under discouragement, tried to silence your voice before it matured. But look at you, you survived every attack that was meant to destroy you. You endured storms meant to break you. You healed from wounds that should have crippled you. And because you survived, heaven now entrusts you with greater authority. This final stage of the eclipse pulls you into embodiment, not just knowing who you are, but becoming who you are. You are crossing a threshold that very few ever reach because most people stop at awareness, stop at awakening, stop at healing. But you, chosen one, are moving into activation, into spiritual maturity, into your divine role. This requires a different level of courage, a different level of clarity, a different level of responsibility. Heaven is not asking you to stay hidden anymore, not asking you to silence your discernment, not asking you to pretend you don't see what you see, feel what you feel, know what you know. The eclipse removes the excuses, dissolves the doubts, and breaks the hesitations that kept you from rising. And now your destiny begins to clarify itself. You may not know the full picture yet, but parts of it are becoming visible. You carry influence whether you acknowledge it or not. You shift atmospheres simply by entering a room. You heal others, often without even speaking. You sense danger long before it arrives. You feel truth before words are spoken. You walk with a spiritual intelligence beyond your natural understanding. These are not coincidences. They are indications of destiny. Heaven designed you to operate at a spiritual depth that most never access. Your life has always been proof of that. The way you've been drawn to the unseen. The way the unseen has followed you. The way divine protection has covered you again and again when you didn't even know you needed it. Chosen one. This eclipse is declaring that it is time to step into your higher assignment. And that assignment may look different for everyone, but the essence is the same. You are called to bring light into places where others only see darkness. Called to restore what has been broken, called to speak what others are afraid to say, called to shift narratives, break cycles, awaken souls, and carry the presence of heaven wherever you go. This is not about titles, not about platforms, not about fame. Your destiny is not measured by visibility, but by impact, by the invisible shifts your spirit creates, by the lives you touch without recognition, by the healing that flows through you even when you feel unprepared. Now let me speak prophetically to the battles you've walked through, because they hold the final key to your destiny. The reason your opposition was so intense is because your purpose is a threat to darkness. The reason you were attacked early is because the enemy saw your potential before you did. The reason you often felt alone is because heaven separated you from the noise so you could hear your calling clearly. The reason you felt misunderstood is because your spirit operates on a frequency most people cannot interpret. But now everything changes. The eclipse activates the gifts you were once afraid of, the authority you once doubted, the clarity you once second-guessed, the strength you once underestimated. And as this activation takes place, you will notice three major shifts. 1. Your discernment becomes immediate and undeniable. You will know instantly who is aligned with your spirit and who is not. The days of confusion end here. 2. Your energy becomes more protected and more selective. You will no longer feel drawn to environments that drain you. You will gravitate naturally toward what nourishes your calling. 3. Your voice gains weight. Even when you speak softly, your words will carry spiritual force. People will feel truth in your tone, not just hear it in your sentences. This is your mantle rising, your spirit remembering, your destiny unfolding. Chosen one. This eclipse is not the end of the journey. It is the ignition. You are stepping into a new timeline, a new level, a new identity that reflects the fullness of who you were born to be. Heaven has prepared you. Life has shaped you. The eclipse has awakened you. Now, walk in the identity that has always belonged to you. The world is about to see what heaven has seen all along. Chosen one. As this sacred moment draws to a close, take a breath and feel what is rising within you. This was not just a message. This was a mirror held up to your spirit. This was heaven reminding you of what you have always carried, even in the seasons when you forgot yourself. You are not here by coincidence. You were led, summoned, drawn into this revelation because something in you is awakening. Something ancient, something holy, something written into your destiny before your first heartbeat. Orientate to the signs. You've seen the sensitivities you've carried, the patterns that have followed you since childhood. None of it has been random. They have been markers of your spiritual origin, evidence of the calling heaven placed on your life long before the world tried to shape you. This eclipse is not just a celestial event. It is a divine confirmation, a stirring of remembrance, a signal that your hidden identity is stepping into the light. As you leave this moment, carry this truth with you. You are chosen, you are seen, you are guided, you are protected, and you are walking into a season where clarity replaces confusion, where purpose replaces wandering, where identity replaces insecurity. Heaven is aligning your steps. Heaven is amplifying your gifts. Heaven is guiding you into the fullness of who you were born to become. May you move forward with confidence, not in yourself alone, but in the divine hand that has been shaping you since the beginning. May every sign you encounter remind you that you are not alone. May every whisper in your spirit confirm that you are on holy ground. May every step you take lead you deeper into alignment with your calling. And if this message resonated with the depths of your spirit, feel free to share your experience in the comments below. Let it be a testimony, a seed, a declaration of your awakening. If you feel led, you may subscribe and stay connected as we continue unveiling the mysteries written for the hidden chosen. Walk now in clarity. Walk now in purpose. Walk now in reverence. For the heavens are watching and your destiny is unfolding.